Hello, my name's Todd and welcome to Vista Meadows. Vista Meadows is located approximately Vista Drive and Elliott Road, about 2.5 miles south of US 60, which is super rare. Remember, this community and a lot of the communities surrounding this community were built in the early to mid 90s. This particular community even goes as far as, say, 2000. Anything after that is going to be pushed further away from the freeway systems. Home size ranges anywhere from 2,000 square feet to over 4,000 square feet. So you have more smaller family size homes all the way up to, I consider, substantially huge homes. And lot sizes are considered pretty standard for most of the community, about 7,500 square feet, whereas some of the houses, and I'm not sure exactly why, but some of the houses located on the cul-de-sacs are actually close to 1/2 acre. Homes range in price anywhere from $200-ish all the way up to $500,000. It really depends on how big the lot size is, and again, there are 1/2 acre lots within this community. So those are going to take a little bit more money to get into. And then typically those larger lots have larger homes. That's where you're going to be getting into that 4,000 square feet I was mentioning. So that's where the $500,000 would come in. What most of the houses in this community are going to be anywhere between $250,000 to $350,000, which in my opinion is a fantastic deal, and not to dwell on it, but finding a community this close to all the major freeway arteries is difficult. So again, you know, us realtors, we always say location, location, location. Vista Meadows has that going for it. Now, if you still have kiddos living at home, and they're elementary age, they'll be going to Sonoma Ranch Elementary School. If they're in junior high school, they'll be going to Greenfield Junior High, which, by the way, that's where my kids went. And if they're in high school, they'll be going to Gilbert High School. Now, all of those schools are relatively close. They're all within, well, do kids ride their bikes to school anymore? I know I used to, but they're all within a mile of this community, so they're super close and convenient. Well, as you can see, I'm standing in a green belt. I love green belts when I'm doing these videos. And this one contains the, I don't know, jungle gym of every kid's dream. It has a little bit of everything. But other than this, there are two other green belts that contain some pretty cool stuff. One contains a basketball court, half court. So if you want to get out there and play basketball with your kiddos, you can. And then up to the north is another green belt that borders along the power lines, and that has a sand volleyball net. So that's pretty cool. If you have some people over and you want to get them out of the house, you can send them down to those places and there's something to do. Now, speaking of the power lines, depending on how you feel about being located near power lines or not, I would say 80% of the community is far enough away from the power lines where they're not an issue. But that does leave that 20% that sit relatively close to the power lines. But what's nice about the power lines is that there's a trail that leads underneath it to a lot of really cool things. That way, and I know you don't know what that way is, but that way there's the riparian preserve, so you can actually ride your bike down the trail underneath the power lines and get there and check that out. It's kind of a neat little park. And then if you go west on the trail, you'll end up at Freestone Park, which is an awesome park. I've done actually a video on just that park. There's a lot to do there. So from here, you don't have to necessarily get in your car to get to those parks. You can just use the trail system that's right, literally, just to the north of this community. Before I bounce away from the trail system, I want to mention that Heritage Trail, which is really a kind of a cool trail system that kind of weaves its way through a lot of different communities, not just Gilbert, but also Chandler. It follows the old canal systems and the current canal systems. You can literally get on that right up here at that power line trail. You can get on Heritage Trail and you can literally ride that thing all the way into Phoenix if you wanted to. So it's really a neat system, and Vista Meadows is right next to it. It's really easy to access from this community. Now, when you have green belts, and you have a newer community like Vista Meadows, you're going to have an HOA, a homeowners association. The fees here are $55 a month. Now, what does that get you? Todd, give me some benefits of an HOA. Well, one is they maintain all the common areas to include this common area with all the play equipment. If something gets damaged here, the HOA is in a position to repair that kind of stuff. If there's a net that needs to be replaced at the volleyball court that I mentioned, they're going to be responsible for that. So it's really nice to have an HOA. They also protect your property values by making sure that everybody in the community kind of follows some general rules on what they can do to the exterior of their property. So you're not going to have somebody next door to you parking a car on jacks in their front yard. Everybody has to follow the rules, and so that really, it does raise home values. I really like Val Vista Meadows, and here's why. I actually live only about a quarter of a mile from this community, and I can attest, because I live so close, that it is super convenient to live here. The freeways are close, shopping is close, the home values are still really, really good. I haven't gone through the roof like they did in the mid-2000s. So getting into a community like this is an investment because other people are going to see the same value you and I do. Close to everything, everything's convenient, just a super, super value. Now, of course, if you have any questions about this community or any other community in Gilbert or really the East Valley, give me a call. If you're not ready to sell or move, please let somebody you know, anybody you know, let them know I exist. That would be a huge help. And have them give me a call, and I'd be more than happy to help them out. Until the next video, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.